her mum was. She barely recognised the drained, gaunt face with dark shadows under sunken eyes, framed by short, wispy dark hair streaked with grey. Very unusual for her mum, who reached for the bottle of hair colour at any sign of grey. Her cotton pyjamas hung loosely on her, emphasising her slender frame. She seemed so frail and fragile, and much weaker and older than she looked at Christmas, when Ellie had last seen her. That was 6 months ago, she scolded herself. She should have made the effort to come down more. After all, she was an only child, and all the family Mum had left now. "Hello, love." Sue Truman smiled weakly. "You shouldn't have rushed down to see me. You were coming down tomorrow evening anyway." "I wanted to make sure you were all right," Ellie said softly, sitting down beside the bed and gently squeezing her mum's hand. "Mandy's call gave me quite a scare." "I told her not to bother you," Sue said. A harsh bout of coughing overcame her, and she struggled to sit up. Ellie helped her, reaching over to plump up the pillows behind her mum's back for support. "That's a bad cough, Mum." Sue waved her hand dismissively. "I'm fine, dear," she croaked between coughs. "I'll be out of here in no time." She didn't look fine, Ellie thought worriedly. "You stay as long as you need, Mum. Just concentrate on getting better. I'll look after the hotel," she promised. "Nonsense, dear. It's your holiday," Sue protested feebly. "I've come down to look after you," Ellie told her firmly. "And that's what I'm going to do." She should never have left Mum to cope alone, Ellie thought as she headed off for Port Meadow. She should have moved back in and helped. The sun was out in force now, so she was glad of her sunglasses to dull the glare. She wound down her window, loving the feel of the soft wind blowing through her hair as she drove along the winding country lanes, her foot hovering over the brake, ready to stop if something shot around the corner. The hedges were a riot of tiny purple and blue flowers, the air filled with birdsong. She felt her heart lift as the narrow lanes gave way to open fields scattered with grazing cows and frolicking sheep, until finally she could see the sun dancing on the ocean in the distance. When Dad had died, Ellie had tried to persuade Mum to sell up and move to the Midlands, where she could keep an eye on her. But Sue had steadfastly refused. She loved Gwel Teg, it was her life, and kept her busy. "I don't want to sit in a little bungalow twiddling my thumbs all day," she said firmly. "Your dad and I spent some happy years here, and I intend to keep the place up and running." Ellie's offer to move in with her had also been stubbornly refused. "I'm not that old and doddering that I need my daughter to look after me," Sue had retorted. So, knowing that her mum loved the hotel, and thinking that maybe it was good for her to have a purpose in life, and to be honest, not really wanting to live in the remote Cornish town again, Ellie had returned to her flat in the Midlands. She'd phoned her mum regularly and visited as much as she could, but not often enough by the look of things. The insistent honking of a horn jolted her to the present. Drat, she'd been so preoccupied with her worries about Mum that she'd turned into Gwel Teg's car park without noticing another car coming out. She frowned. It was that silver Merc again. The guy behind the wheel was impatiently gesturing her to move back. She held up her hand in apology and reversed to let him out. He threw her a cutting glance as he passed, then shot off. Charming. I hope he isn't staying at the hotel. An awkward customer was the last thing she needed. "Ellie, lovey." Mandy came around the front of the desk and gave Ellie a warm hug wrapped in her trademark sexy lady perfume. "Have you been to see your mum? How is she?" Mandy had worked at the hotel so long she was more of a friend than an employee. With her bleached blonde hair, red lipstick and flamboyant clothes, she was often taken for a bit of an airhead, but she was a big-hearted woman who would help anyone. "Recovering well," the nurse said. "But Mandy, she looks so weak, so tired." "Oh, lovey, the hotel's too much for her. I've been trying to get her to rest up a bit, but you know your mum, stubborn as a mule." Mandy's heavily mascaraed eyes were full of concern. "I help her as much as I can, but—" Ellie nodded. "I know."